Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about the newest 5-star pyro claymore character, Dehya. My very first thoughts are that she's definitely a luxury character in the way that she can replace a lot of characters in teams, but not necessarily outdo them. This video will explain her talents, cons, playstyles, weapons, artifacts, team comps, and any special interactions I've noticed. Keep in mind she'll be going to the standard banner in the future, which would make pulling her or her cons more difficult. Dehya's abilities have a lot of words. Here's the TLDR and then the Razor language. First, her skill. So basically she takes damage for your teammates and they can't get knocked around while in her circle. And some off-field pyro damage. Razor detailed explanation. Press skill, it does AoE pyro damage. Also makes a circle. Can press skill one more time whenever to move the circle. Circle does extra pyro damage whenever enemy takes damage. Can be triggered off-field with a 2.5 second cooldown, gives only 1 pyro energy per hit. This also introduces a new absorption mechanic where Dehya takes some damage for the person in the circle. This damage can go up to 200% of her max HP and she takes it over 10 seconds. Her Essential 1 passive directly interacts with this by reducing 60% of that damage to her for 6 seconds, if she moves her circle by reactivating her skill or using her burst. Also, when you make a circle, it gives your team Gold Forge Form State. While in the circle, you won't get knocked back. This lasts 9 seconds and has an 18-second cooldown. This skill scales with attack and HP, but the numbers are so bad that you really shouldn't be thinking about it for damage. Offensively, it could be used for Burgeon, but we'll explain that later. Dehya's burst auto-targets enemies and hits 6 times with a final AoE attack at the end for a 7th hit. These attacks might seem pretty slow right now, but if you spam her skills or normal attacks during this time, she attacks 10 times with a final hit for 11. During her burst, you can dodge, but the amount of hits you do will be lowered. Her burst has a major downside where it can't trigger stuff like Xingqiu burst, Yelan burst, Beidou burst. During her burst, she'll take the pyro circle from the ground, and when her burst ends, the rest of the pyro circle's duration will continue. This does not refresh the duration. Things to note, her burst has 70 energy cost, and because she takes away her circle when she uses it, she generates 0 energy for herself during the 4-second burst. Therefore, she needs high energy recharge and a battery to let her use her burst. Dehya's burst scales both with attack percent and max HP. Her Constellations are a big factor in increasing her burst's damage. Dehya's A4 talent gives her some much needed durability. When her HP is less than 40%, she'll immediately recover 20% of her max HP and restore 6% of her max HP every 2 seconds for the next 10 seconds. This effect has a 20-second cooldown and can happen off-field. And finally, she makes your team run faster by 10% during the day. Talent priority if on-field would be burst then skill. Off-field Dehya priority would just be the skill as you would not be bursting. She doesn't normal attack much, so you can save money by not upgrading it. Basically, I see a few playstyles for her. 1. On-field DPS. On-field Dehya builds as many offensive stats as she can to rely on her burst to do damage. You put her circle down to tank for her teammates as they quick swap around, then you come back to Dehya to burst. Hit them with all your punches and then redo the whole thing all over again. Then there's off-field Dehya, which is separated by support Dehya and reaction Dehya. Support Dehya would just build HP to take as much damage as possible for the team and to improve stagger resistance. She'd be used in place of shield characters, but she would also like a healer in the team. Basically, she just presses her skill before swapping into whoever's going to be on the field for a long time. Then there's reaction Dehya. Dehya's skill applies pyro slow enough to consistently apply Burgeon without accidentally creating burning. The advantage she has over other pyro Burgeon characters is that she doesn't need to use her burst, therefore she'll need no ER and can focus all on EM to increase Burgeon damage. The disadvantage is that her skill only lasts 12 seconds and the pyro appears every 2.5 seconds, which means, along with her initial skill activations, she can only Burgeon about 6 times, which isn't ideal. Burgeon Dehya is pretty simple. First, use your Hydro and Dendro character to make blooms. Then swap in Dehya to use her skill to activate Burgeon. After that, let her off-field damage activate Burgeon. Dehya's off-field pyro damage can also do burning very easily. Specific team comps will be later on in this video. Let's look at Constellations. You'll notice most of them buffer burst. Dehya's C1 is the most efficient low-budget con to stop at. It gives her free health and increases her skills and burst max HP scaling, which is massive. C2 is also really nice because it increases her circle by 6 seconds, giving it 18 seconds uptime. Also makes the off-field pyro damage a little bit stronger. C3 makes her burst do more damage, which is never bad. C4 restores HP and energy when you attack during her burst. This lowers her energy recharge requirements, which lets you build more offensive stats, which is pretty cool. C5 is pretty bad, the damage increase is pretty unimportant. And finally, C6 is massive for on-field Dehya. It increases her crit rate and her crit damage, just giving her a lot more damage stats that she needs. Let's move on to the weapons. On-field Dehya wants as many offensive stats as possible. Therefore, it's no surprise that her signature weapon is a good choice. Redhorn Stone Thresher is also a really good option because of its high crit damage stats. Other strong 5-star options include the Wolf's Gravestone and Unforged for its high attack. It's not ideal, but Skyward Pride has high base attack while also helping with some of the energy recharge needs. A strong 4-star option is High Refinements of Aquamaru, which is a gacha-only claymore. The Battle Pass weapon Serpent Spine is still pretty good just for the crit stats. However, the passive is wasted because whenever you take damage for your teammates, the passive disappears. Then finally, there's the more accessible claymores, like Prototype Archaic, Luxurious Sea Lord if you did the event, and Black Cliff Slasher. Also, if you're really desperate for energy, you can go Favonius. Virgin Dehya wants EM weapons, so she has 3 main choices. The first one is, sorry if I butchered the name, Makaira Aquamarine. Higher refinement the better, and it's a gacha exclusive weapon. This weapon has EM main stat and gives your team an attack buff based on your EM. Next is Mailed Flower, which is the event weapon they're going to give for free. This weapon with its skill and max refinements will give you the highest EM out of any claymore. In third place, we get the legendary Rain Slasher. 165 EM, what can I say? Support Dehya weapons are pretty simple. She doesn't really need ER, EM, or crit, or attack, or any damage stats. If she has a little bit of crit substats, Favonius is a good choice to give energy to her whole team. I can't believe I'm saying it, but there's finally someone that can use the Bell. The Bell is an HP main stat which lets her take more damage for her team. Keep in mind the Bell's shield only activates when she swaps in. Want an even lower investment Dehya? Use the Fairest Shadow, the 3-star HP main stat weapon. Next is artifacts. On-field Dehya's best in slot is 4-piece emblem. This set gives her everything she needs, from much needed energy recharge to increasing her burst damage. In a mono pyro team, 4-piece lava walker is also a good option if you have it farmed. Then there's the 2-piece mix options. 2-piece Crimson Witch power damage is at the top, as well as 2-piece Noblesse's 20% burst damage increase. But you can also mix and match of any 2-piece attack artifacts. On-field Dehya wants a crit rate or crit damage hat, Pyro Goblet, energy recharge sands if you can't burst consistently, attack sands if C0 and want more damage, HP percent sands if you have C1. Overall, energy recharge will depend on your team comp, but generally you want about 200% energy recharge, as well as the famous 1-to-2 crit rate to crit damage ratio. Attack percent and HP percent substats are valued a lot lower, but they're still very useful. Virgin Dehya artifacts. 4-piece Gilded Dream and 4-piece Paradise Lost are the artifacts you want. They basically do the same damage, so I'd recommend Gilded Dreams because Deepwood is generally more useful when you're farming it. Another option is 2-piece EM pieces, like 2-piece Wanderers or 2-piece Gilded Dreams or 2-piece Paradise Lost. You want to go triple EM main stat, Hat, Goblet, Sands. For substats, as much EM as possible, and HP percent if you want to make your Dehya a little bit more tanky. Support Dehya can use 4-piece Tenacity very well. It gives an HP boost as well as an easy to proc attack buff for your whole team. If you're using Favonius, make sure to get some crit rate so you can get the weapon effects energy. Otherwise, Support Dehya can just cheaply run as much HP stats as possible. Team comps. These are some of the main team comps I thought of when playing Dehya, but I'm sure there's lots more. Burgeon. Pretty much it's Dehya, Dendro, Hydro, and then Flex. Any decent Dendro applicator like Nahida, Kale, or Dendro Traveler. Hydro's pretty flexible. Xingqiu Yelan off-field, Kokomi Barbara on-field, Ayato on-field, plenty of options. The Flex can be a second Hydro, a healer, a shielder, or an Animo character. Animo characters like Venti or Kazuha can provide more grouping so Burgeon would do more AoE damage, but they might accidentally trigger burning, so you gotta be careful. A team I want to test out more is Burgeon with Kuki. The idea is that Dehya's 2.5 second power application wastes blooms because it's too slow. So in between, Kuki can trigger some hyper blooms. Mel Ganyu team was also another big one. Dehya, Bennett, Ganyu, and Flex. Dehya's role here is to prevent Ganyu's charge attacks from being cancelled, as well as mitigating enough damage that she can heal up fully from Bennett's burst. However, with a Flex character like Nahida or Dendro, she can apply burning easily for her Ganyu to melt her charge attacks. Another strong Flex option is Kazuha. Another support Dehya team are hyper carry teams. I'm gonna use my main Yoimiya as an example. She absolutely doesn't want to be interrupted for her 3rd and 5th hit. However, in these teams, even with the 50% mitigation, healers are very important. Characters like Bennett or other healers are needed to make sure your hyper carries do not die. An ideal team comp would be hyper carry, Dehya support, Bennett, off-field damage, Flex. A hyper carry team that does not require a healer would be a Hu Tao Dehya team. Dehya can easily replace Zhongli as Hu Tao's self-sustain should top her up. Is it better? Not really, but it's an option. Similarly, in a Hu Tao team, Dehya provides pyro damage to easily be swirled. For on-field Dehya, I think her most viable team is Mono Pyro, as she needs all the energy particles as she can. Bennett again is the core staple of this team, providing healing, much needed energy, and a big attack buff. The other team members are very flexible. Xiaoling's a strong option, Kazuha, sharing field time with Yoimiya or Hu Tao. There's still way more comps I want to try out like Double Cryo, but that'll be in the future. I hope there's a future artifact set or future characters that synergize better with her. Good luck to anyone pulling or losing 50-50 to her. I hope this guide helps.